6 years together. She cheated, broke everything, and now she wants me back. We've been together for 6 years, and this past year has been one of the hardest I've ever had in a relationship. We moved in together in 2024, and at first, I thought living together would bring us closer, but slowly, I started noticing a pattern, one that left me exhausted and frustrated. Almost all the house chores fell on me. I was the one cleaning, buying groceries, cooking, paying most of the bills, and managing everything that kept our home running. It felt like I was holding the entire weight of our life together, while she barely lifted a finger. At first, I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe it was temporary, or that she was just busy with work or other responsibilities. But over time, it became obvious that this wasn't going to change unless I made it happen. And it wasn't just the chores. Every argument revealed narcissistic patterns and manipulation. Things that didn't even need to be fights would turn into gaslighting sessions, guilt-tripping, or twisted logic where I would end up apologizing for things I didn't do. I tried to play fair, to communicate, to get her to understand my point of view, but it felt like my words fell on deaf ears. I kept expressing the same concerns over and over, asking for even small changes. I wanted fairness. I wanted a partnership, not a setup where I was constantly overextending myself while she coasted. For a while, it felt like nothing I said mattered, and yet it was only when I finally reached my breaking point, when I decided I was going to end the relationship and move out, that she suddenly agreed to listen. Suddenly, she accepted what I had been saying for months, acknowledging the problems and promising to make changes. For a few days, things seemed better. I allowed myself a small hope that maybe this time would be different, but it didn't last. Slowly, the old dynamics crept back in. The chores, the one-sided effort, the subtle manipulations during disagreements, it all returned. It felt like history repeating itself, and I realized that nothing had truly changed, and I was still left carrying the bulk of responsibility. What makes this whole situation hurt even more is the fact that we genuinely love each other. That's the cruel part. There is still affection, shared memories, inside jokes, and that feeling of familiarity you only get after years together. But going through all of this has forced me to face a reality I didn't want to accept for a long time. Love, by itself, is not enough to sustain a healthy relationship. Over time, despite living under the same roof, we slowly became distant. Not in a dramatic, explosive way, but in a quiet, suffocating one. We shared a house, yet it started to feel like we were just roommates passing each other in the hallway. I stopped trying to be heard during arguments. I stopped expressing my feelings, because every attempt felt pointless. Anytime I opened up, it would turn into defensiveness, manipulation, or my concerns being minimized until I questioned whether I was even allowed to feel the way I did. So eventually, I went quiet, not because I had nothing to say, but because I was tired of saying the same things and never seeing real change. Then came the final blow, the thing that shattered whatever fragile balance was left. She ended up having an emotional affair with another guy. It started with constant texting, then turned into late-night conversations about their days, their thoughts, their frustrations. They shared fantasies about things they wanted to do together, built an emotional connection that should have belonged to us. She kissed him a few times, and eventually they slept together. She insists there was no sex, but honestly, at that point, the label hardly matters. The betrayal had already happened. This went on for almost a month. A full month of secrecy, lies, and emotional intimacy with someone else, while I was in the same house, completely unaware. When I finally discovered what was going on, I felt a kind of shock I had never experienced before. It was like the ground disappeared beneath my feet. What hurts even more is that in the weeks leading up to this, I had started thinking that I no longer felt love for her. I thought maybe my feelings had just died. But the moment I realized she had cheated on me, the pain hit me like a wave and made something very clear. I was not emotionally detached. I was emotionally exhausted. I still loved her. I was just completely drained. She told me she did not think it would hurt me this deeply. She said she was struggling to communicate that she had developed feelings for someone else, as if that somehow softened the betrayal. Hearing that only made it worse. It felt like my pain was underestimated, like my emotional limits were crossed without a second thought. I made the decision to move back to my parents' house. I needed space, silence, and safety to even begin processing what had happened. Since then, I have been focusing entirely on healing. I have no interest in talking to other women, no desire to distract myself with dating or attention. I'm just trying to rebuild myself emotionally, piece by piece, and understand how I ended up here. On the other hand, she has been doing terribly. She keeps reaching out, insisting that we should get back together, that we can fix this, that there has to be a way through it. She says she regrets everything and cannot imagine her life without me, and that puts me in an even more painful position. because part of me still cares, while another part of me knows how deeply broken the trust is. I'm stuck between loving someone and realizing that love alone cannot carry a relationship when respect, balance, and emotional safety are missing. And that realization hurts more than the betrayal itself. Despite how genuinely sorry she seems about what she did, despite cutting all contact with the other man and swearing it meant nothing, I am still stuck in this constant state of doubt. I wake up unsure, I go to sleep unsure. Some days I feel like I know the answer, and then one thought, one memory, one message from her, and everything collapses again. I still love her. There's no point lying to myself about that. And I know she loves me too, in her own way. I understand we were going through a difficult period. We were disconnected, tired, emotionally worn down. But at the same time, no matter how hard things were, she still made a conscious decision to cross a line. She didn't stop herself. She didn't pause to think about the consequences, about me, about what it would do to our relationship. That's the part that keeps looping in my head. She wants to frame it as a terrible mistake, something out of character, like a bad decision that doesn't define who she really is. She wants us to move forward as if it never happened, as if we can just close that chapter and go back to who we were before. But the problem is, I can't unsee it. I can't unknow it. It's not just something that happened, it changed how I see her, how we see us, and how safe I feel emotionally. Over the last few weeks, we've seen each other a handful of times. We talked, we went out for dinner, we slept together, and honestly, in those moments, things felt good, familiar, comfortable, almost normal. We laughed, we connected. For a while, I could forget everything, but the moment I went back home, alone with my thoughts, the weight came crashing down again. That's when it hit me that seeing her felt like taking a painkiller, temporary relief, a way to numb the pain instead of actually dealing with it, a way to pretend nothing had happened even though everything had changed. And I hate that feeling. I hate how my heart pulls me in one direction while my mind screams in the opposite one. It feels like I'm constantly at war with myself, unable to choose, unable to rest. One part of me wants to fight for what we had. The other part knows that maintaining contact might just be reopening the wound over and over again. We've been together for so long. 6 years is not nothing, especially when you're only 25. We basically grew up together, learned about relationships together, made mistakes together, shaped each other's personalities. More than a fifth of our lives were spent side by side, building something that felt real and meaningful. Walking away from that feels unnatural, like cutting off a part of myself. And it's not like everything was terrible. There were good times, real ones. Trips, laughter, shared routines, moments where I genuinely felt happy and safe. We enjoyed so many things together. But if I'm brutally honest with myself, even before all of this happened, I had started feeling like it was going to end eventually, one way or another. I couldn't really picture us growing old together. I couldn't see a future that felt solid and calm. And that realization scares me, because it makes me wonder if I'm holding on out of love or fear of letting go. So here I am, stuck between the past we built, the pain she caused, and a future I'm not sure I believe in anymore. My heart wants comfort, my mind wants peace, and I can't seem to get both at the same time. So I keep asking myself the same question over and over, hoping the answer will magically become clear. What would you do?
I never expected to hear about my fiancé's affair from the other man. I'm completely shattered and don't even know where to start. My fiancé cheated on me just 2 months before he proposed this year. I thought we were happy, building a future together, planning a wedding, and trusting each other completely. I never imagined anything like this could happen to me. Recently, I found out about the affair from the husband of the woman my fiancé was involved with. He reached out to my mom, my sisters, and even some other family members, revealing the details of what my fiancé did behind my back. I couldn't believe it at first. I felt my stomach drop, my heart pound, and a mixture of disbelief and anger just wash over me. How could someone I loved and trusted betray me like this, while planning a life with me? The husband said he even provided proof of the affair, showing messages and other evidence that confirmed everything. He told me that his wife finally admitted to what happened, but he doesn't trust everything she said because she had been lying from the beginning. That made everything feel even messier. How could I ever know what was true and what wasn't? I asked the husband for more evidence, and he said he would consult his attorney to see what he could legally share before the divorce is finalized. Meanwhile, I have the wife's number, and I'm tempted to reach out to her directly to get answers. But I also feel scared of what I might find. Part of me wants to search my fiancé's phone to see if there's more evidence, to see the truth with my own eyes, but I don't even know if I can handle it emotionally. The husband also mentioned something that made my blood boil. My fiancé is still obsessively looking at her content on TikTok, liking photos and leaving comments, acting like nothing ever happened. The thought that he might still be emotionally invested in her while we're planning a wedding in a few months is crushing. I feel completely lost and betrayed, and I haven't even confronted him yet with what I now know. We've already spent so much money on the wedding, planning, deposits, venues, everything. And now, knowing what he's done, I feel torn. I don't know if I should go through with the wedding, knowing the person I plan to spend my life with has been so deceitful. The mix of anger, heartbreak, fear, and disbelief is overwhelming. I keep asking myself, how did this even happen? Why did he think it was okay? And most importantly, can I ever forgive this, or should I walk away before it's too late?
Could this be a third time, or am I just imagining things? Please read the whole story. I'll start from the day things really began to weigh on me. Lately, I've been feeling that she may have been unfaithful again, and it's tearing me apart. Yes, I made serious mistakes in my past. I'm 42 now, but when I was 20, I got caught up in dangerous and forbidden substances, specifically party stimulants and other harmful recreational substances, for about 6 months. I spent thousands of dollars on reckless behavior, while my first child was only a few months old. A serious car accident finally woke me up and forced me to change my life completely, leaving behind those destructive habits. Shortly after, she became involved with a man from work in a way that betrayed our trust. That was the first major betrayal. We tried to work through it, moved into a new apartment together, but life became complicated again. Eventually, we split. During that time apart, she was involved with several other men, around 5, but I don't count those for our main story, though it adds context. We eventually got back together and moved to another place. By this point, I had committed myself to correcting every part of my life and embracing a spiritual path. However, I started feeling uneasy when she went out frequently for girls' nights. I prayed for guidance, asking for clarity if she was being unfaithful, and that same night, I had a vivid dream. I shared it with a spiritual advisor who confirmed that I needed to observe her actions closely and check carefully. Eventually, I discovered text messages that confirmed a betrayal. She denied everything at first, so I verified the truth by contacting the man involved. I moved out the following week, taking our son with me. She lost her apartment because she couldn't pay rent and moved into a smaller place. I continued helping her with groceries and necessities to ensure our son was taken care of. Later, she expressed a desire to rebuild things. I agreed, but only for the sake of our son, and only if she could prove that such betrayals would never happen again. I cautiously reopened my heart. To protect myself, I even left a discreet audio recorder at her apartment. The next day, I discovered intimate sounds that confirmed my suspicions. Despite her apologies, tears, and explanations, I turned my back on her completely. She lost her place again and got evicted, and when my son asked me to help her, how could I possibly say no? So I brought her back into our home, hoping we could rebuild stability. She got a new job and made a friend, eventually booking a trip to Cuba with this friend. I prayed that if anything inappropriate happened, some visible sign would appear. When she returned, she had a noticeable scrape on her right knee, leaving a permanent scar. She explained that it happened during activities with her friend and 2 other men, claiming nothing inappropriate occurred because they were never in the same hotel room. The knee injury, however, left me uneasy, and I couldn't fully trust her story. Now I'm left questioning everything. After all the betrayals, the breakups, the lies, and my own past mistakes, I wonder, did she truly stay faithful on that trip, or am I overthinking? I want to believe her, but the signs make it impossible to ignore the nagging doubt. What do you think? Considering my past and everything I've been through to rebuild trust and faith in our relationship, do you think she may have been unfaithful in Cuba, or am I letting fear take over?